Our group will present about firewall and intrusion prevention system. My name is Noamira Mutano Azman and my fellow friend is Situno Saikuddin. Firewall. What is firewall? Firewall, also known as any device or software used to filter or control the flow of traffic. Firewalls are typically implemented on the network perimeter and function by defining trusted and untrusted zones. Most firewalls will permit traffic from the trusted zone to the untrusted zone without any explicit configuration. Traffic from the untrusted zone to the trusted zone must be explicitly permitted. This is the history of firewall. The first firewalls were developed by the Digital Equipment Corporation or DEC back in the late 1980s. These early firewalls operated mainly on the first four layers of the Open System Interconnection, or known as OSI model. Below are the generations of firewalls. First generations based on router, which examines the destination address of received packets. If packet satisfies all the rules, then the packet is forwarded, or else it will be dropped and a message will be sent back to the system so that no more packets will be sent. The second generation is known as a stateful firewall, which is developed by Janardhan Sharma, Dave Prezzetto, and Kshitij Nigam at AT&T Bell Laboratories from 1989 until 1990. It prevents from the denial of service attacks. The third generation, known as application firewall or proxy-based firewall, it operates at application level and inspects the inflow and outflow traffic and blocks inappropriate contents like virus and so forth. Next is the types of firewalls. First type of firewall is known as packet filtering, which is it works at the network level of the OSI model or the IP layer of TCP/IP model, which is part of a router. Each packet is compared to a set of criteria before it is forwarded. It depends on the packet and the criteria, so the firewall can drop the packet, forward it, or send a message to the originator. The advantage of this type of firewall, which is it low cost and low impact on the network performance. Most routers support packet filtering. The second type of firewall is circuit level gateway. Circuit level gateway work at the session layer of the OSI model or the TCP layer of TCP/IP model. It monitor the TCP handshaking between packets to determine whether a requested session is legitimate. The information passed to remote computer through a circuit level gateway appears to have originated from the gateway. It is useful for hiding information about the protected networks. Circuit level gateway also inexpensive and have the advantage of hiding information about the private network they protect. Type of firewall is application level gateway. Application level gateway, also called proxies, which are similar to circuit level gateways, except that they are application specific. Application level gateway can filter packets at the application layer of the OSI model. It also configured to be a web proxy will not allow any FTP, Gopher, Telnet or other traffic through it. It can filter application-specific commands such as HTTP post and GET, etc. because it examines packets at application layer. It offers a high level of security but have a significant impact on the network performance. This is because of context switches that slow down the network access dramatically. How firewall works. A firewall may allow all traffic through unless it meets certain criteria, or it may deny all traffic unless it meets certain criteria. The type of criteria used to determine whether traffic should be allowed through varies from one type of firewall to another. Firewall may be concerned with the type of traffic or with source or destination address and ports. It may also use complex rule bases that analyze the application data to determine if the traffic should be allowed through. A firewall determines what traffic to let through depends on which network layer it operates at. This is an example of case study, which is a mid-sized technology firm audited their network and discovered a group of World of Warcraft WoW players had installed the game on their laptops, which was permitted, and were playing the game at work, which was not. After discussing, they decided to ban the game at work and block the WoW ports at the company firewall. Suddenly, they found the network had slowed way down again. The network administrator looked through the firewall access logs and discovered that someone had been opening and closing the WoW ports using a dummy account. Not long after, by carefully watching the logs, he found one of the graphic design interns was responsible for the security breach. He had stolen the main firewall password to create the dummy account. Apparently, he had serious addiction to the game, logging 60 to 70 hours of play a week, including most of his time at work. The intern was dismissed. Here are the importance of firewalls. Firewalls allow network administrators to offer access to specific types of internet services to selected LAN users. This selectivity is an essential part of any information management program, and it involves not only protecting private assets but also knowing who has access to what. Firewalls protect private local area networks from hostile intrusion from the internet, which is many LANs are now connected to the internet where internet connectivity would otherwise have been too great a risk. Next is about the drawbacks of firewalls. First drawback is regarding the speed issues, which is firewalls are set to operate at a certain speed appropriate to the network connection. Firewalls that operate at a faster speed than the network connection will not function. Firewall always has to match the speed of the network. If the firewall does not match the speed of the connection, it will let data pass through unmonitored, which will bring a great security risk. Second drawback is disabling security policies. There are fake or malware firewalls that disable or modify the security policies of the computer's network connection, which then opens the network ports, allowing any kind of data to pass through.
Hello, my name is Saida. I will explain on Intrusion Prevention System IPS. History of IPS. The first IPS were invented in the late 1990s to resolve what was then believed to be ambiguities in traditional passive network monitoring done by firewall and IDS. By placing detection system in line, an IPS could make access control decisions based on application contents rather than access control list filtering based on IP address or port as older traditional firewalls has been doing. What is IPS? IPS is a device or programs that are used to detect sign of intrusion into networks of system and take action. That action consists of generating alarms and actively blocking intrusions. IPS usually take the form of purpose-built hardware devices, software agents that runs on servers, or software programs that run within virtualized environments. An instructions prevention system is designed to permit everything except that which is explicitly disallowed. An intrusion prevention system is designed to permit network packet based on the packet payload. Types of IPS. There are three base types of IPS. There are host, network, and also wireless. Under host, there is a HIDS, which is host-based intrusion detection system, which is a system that is installed on the host and designed to detect attack against the host system. Second one is HIPS, which is host-based intrusion prevention system, which is a system that installed on a host and designed to block attack against the host system. And the network, there is an IPS. An IPS is an intrusion prevention system that monitor a network to block attack. An NIDS, which is a network-based intrusion detection system that monitoring a network to detect attacks. Common detection methodologies. Intrusion prevention systems use different methods to detect security incidents. The makers of IPS have learned that no one method is effective for detecting and stopping most kind of incidents. There are three common detection methodology. There are rule-based detections, which is IPS can detect incident by comparing observations against a list of previously defined incidents and no vulnerabilities. This type of detection is quite effective at detecting both known and unknown threats. Second detections methodology, anomaly-based detections. IPS can detect incident by comparing traffic pattern that the IPS consider normal with new traffic patterns and deciding whether new traffic patterns fall within acceptable patterns or not. And the last one, detections methodology, is a stateful protocol analysis. IPS can detect incident by observing individual network connections, for instance, and making alerting or blocking decision based on what considered normal for various types of activities. Understanding IPS components and network architectures. To understand how an IPS protects an enterprise, it helps to look at the component of an enterprise class IPS. These figures show a typical organization's internet network boundary along with IPS components. An IPS sensor is typically a purpose-built hardware appliance that is connected to the network. The sensor may be connected in one of three ways: inline, network tab, switch span port. Enterprise will typically have many IPS sensors, each located in a different part of the network. Some of the network command place where an IPS sensor might be placed are perimeter of the MZAC, core or data center network, extranets, wireless access point, visualizations platform, and the last one is a critical network segments. All IPS can help. There are three reasons for the spike in the client attacks. Traditionally, network defense have been focused on protecting the server rather than application security. Not to be thwarted, hackers simply found less protected routes into the land, routes that would require intrusion prevention software and services to protect, which the average corporate security practices don't yet address. Second, exploiting client-side vulnerability is not at all difficult. Third, is the pervasive belief that a stateful firewall can prevent them attacks. Firewall allow certain protocol to pass. These protocols are based on the services the site uses, such as electronic mail, for example, POP, IMAP, SMTP, World Wide Web, HTTP, Domain Name Service, DNS, and others. Sites with these services use client software. Therefore, they have vulnerabilities. Firewall policy allow traffic to clients that have initiated a connection. This is known as a stateful firewall, as a figure 3. Normally, hacker must trick the firewall into allowing the traffic. Since responding to a client request is the only inbound path, hacker needs a way to get the client to initiate that request. The moment the target connects to this website, it is infected by malicious code. Unviolated codes makes the return trip through the firewall without a hitch. The malicious content can be embedded in anything that is executed by the browser, such as a web page, ActiveX control, or Adobe Acrobat PDF file. See in Figure 4. There is an even easier way to exploit client-side vulnerabilities. Internet Explorer and Outlook share the same ActiveX control, which is vulnerable application code, to display HTML pages. This means that an attacker can email HTML with embedded malicious code exploiting the vulnerability. Client-side vulnerabilities also can be found in several PDF readers and instant message messenger. Figure 5 below illustrates how a hacker can use instant messaging to get inside a network. Client-side vulnerabilities are insidious because not only a firewall helpless against them, but eliminating server completely, outsourcing everything to a third party, cannot solve the problem either. Any computer with an internet connection has client application and is therefore vulnerable. Neither intrusion detection nor deep packet firewall inspection can stop attacks against client application. The most reliable defense in intrusion prevents, see in Figure 6. An intrusion prevention system will identify and block attacks on client-side vulnerabilities. Intrusion prevention stop attacks on client-side vulnerabilities. Intrusion prevention is not only identify inbound attacks, it stops them. In trust, ion prevention can work on known attacks as well as many unknown attacks. Coupled with good tool for alerting and security expert that can understand the react to the alerts, intrusion prevention can be extremely effective in combating threats. The technology shows intrusion preventions and combating other network security threats to provide around-the-clock monitoring to detect and stop attacks.